What I have here is an H&R 922 double action revolver. These revolvers were made from about 1927 to 1952. There were 7 different variations made. This is a 4th variation. This one was made between 1938 and 1940 in that time frame. It's an interesting little revolver in that it has a very narrow barrel and sort of an oversized grip, like a Beasley grip. It feels very nice in the hand. Now, this is a free spinning cylinder on the revolver, and what you can do is with the revolver on half cock, you depress this little lever right there, and you can take out the base pin and the cylinder comes out. Now, some people say that the proper way to load this revolver is to remove the cylinder and put the cartridges in the cylinder chambers here and then reinstall the cylinder in the gun, which takes a little bit of doing, and then you're ready to go. However, over here the recoil shield has a groove cut in it with a slot running back on the frame. It looks like a clearance slot right there. Now, some people say that that's nothing more than an inspection port so you can tell if the revolver is loaded or not. Other people say that you can actually load the gun through that port. And in fact, on this particular gun, there is enough clearance to load it through that port. So what I want to do is, some people say it's quicker to load the gun by removing the cylinder and loading the cylinder and then reinstalling the cylinder in the gun. I'm not so sure about that. I've always loaded the gun through the little inspection port or whatever, and what I want to do today is I want to time, using a stopwatch, time both methods and see which method is faster. Loading it through the inspection port and then loading with the cylinder out of the gun, and then also unloading by removing the cylinder from the gun and popping out the empty cases, or just popping them out through the inspection port. So I'm going to do some time trials and we'll see what we come up with. It's just a interesting little academic exercise. Now the gun, when you take out the ejector rod, you can use the ejector rod to push the empty cartridge cases out of the cylinder. However, what I've done is I've taken a little brass screwdriver, so to say, and I modified it so that I can use that as a little pusher to push out the cartridge cases that way. It's a little hard for me to show it on the camera because it's on the other side of the gun from my eyes. But I'm going to test both ways and see which way is faster. Okay, the first trial is going to be loading the gun with the cylinder in the gun. So I've got 9 cartridges here. The gun holds 9 cartridges. I have the stopwatch. I'll start with the gun on the rug, start the stopwatch and load it as quick as I can, and then stop the stopwatch and see what we have. Okay, so let's go. Start the stopwatch. Okay. Load 1. Load 2. Load 3. Load 4. Load 5. Load 6. Load 7. And load 8. And stop the stopwatch and we'll see what we have. It looks like we have 34 seconds. Okay, now we're going to try timing it while loading the cylinder as the cylinder is removed from the gun. So we'll start the stopwatch and see what we get. Okay, let's go. Now we have to remove the cylinder from the gun, and we load it up as quick as I can. And then we put the cylinder back in the gun. There we are. So that looks like 31 seconds. Okay, now assuming that we've fired the gun and we have the empty cases in the gun, as you can see in the inspection port there, we're going to time unloading the gun using a little brass rod while the cylinder is still in the gun. So we're ready to go. Let's start the stopwatch and go. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9. The gun is empty. Alright, the gun is empty, and we did that in 12 seconds. Okay, once again, we're assuming that we fired all 9 shots in the gun, and this time we're going to remove the cylinder from the gun to unload it and see how long it takes us to do that. So, okay, let's start the clock. Remove the cylinder from the gun. Some of them fell out. Assuming you have to push them out. There we are. And in that case, it took us 20 seconds to remove the cylinder, unload the gun, and put the cylinder back in. Now granted, these are unfired shells. If they were fired, they might be a little tougher to get out of the cylinder. As you notice, when I turned the cylinder right side up, some of them fell right out, which speeded up the process a little bit. Okay, I have the gun loaded with empty cartridges again, and I just want to try again unloading it while the cylinder is in the gun to see if we can beat our previous time. So here we go. And that time we did it in 13 seconds. Now we'll do another trial loading the gun while the cylinder is still in the gun and see what we get. Okay, we loaded 9 cartridges in 29 seconds. We'll do another trial loading all 9 cartridges by removing the cylinder from the gun. So let's see what we got. Start the clock. And we did pretty well. In 22 seconds we removed the cylinder, loaded the cylinder, and reinstalled it in the gun. Okay, in our last trial we are going to try unloading the gun by removing the cylinder from the gun and popping out the cartridges. This is our second trial at that. So here we go. Well, that went fairly well, mainly because unfired cartridge cases just seem to fall out of the cylinder just by gravity. We did that in 14 seconds. So the results are in. We did 3 time trials, both loading and unloading the cylinder with the cylinder in the gun and out of the gun. And it appears that in our completely non-scientific Mythbusters methodology here, that loading the gun with the cylinder out of the gun seems to be a little bit faster by 3 seconds, 29 seconds versus 31 with the cylinder in the gun. In the unloading procedure, it appears that unloading the gun with the cylinder remaining in the gun can be accomplished in 13 seconds versus 17 seconds with the cylinder out of the gun. Now, this is really not a scientific comparison, because first of all, in unloading I was using non-fired empty cartridge cases for the unloading procedure in a clean cylinder without soot or any debris in the cylinder. So many times all I had to do was tilt the gun upward and the empty cartridge cases would fall out, rather than having to eject them out with the little tool. So that was not a true comparison. And in the loading procedure, I actually got very lucky on the 3 trials in that the cylinder went back into the gun almost the first try during each trial. Sometimes aligning this cylinder and putting the base pin in is tricky, and you have to fumble around with it, and you just eat up time trying to align the base pin to the cylinder. So you waste a lot of time putting the cylinder back in the gun. All in all, I would say it really doesn't matter one way or the other whether the cylinder is in the gun or out of the gun as far as loading. When you're trying to load through this little inspection port here, you really have to have the cylinder lined up almost perfect. And you have to push the cartridges in all the way, otherwise the cylinder will bind up, and then you got to take the whole cylinder out of the gun to solve the problem. So it is a little tricky loading it through the loading port. I do that, but I think some value can be had by unloading the gun using some sort of an ejector rod with the cylinder in the gun, pushing the cartridges out through the loading port. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and leave comments down below in the comments section. Thanks for watching.